Welcome to Module 6, everyone. Now, in Module 6, we are going to look at transportation and supply chain vulnerabilities. Transportation assets that must be protected from attack are the infrastructure and systems that support mobility essential to our way of life, our national security, and commerce. Assets and systems meeting the criteria for protection under the strategy are identified in the modal security plans based on transportation supply assessments of the threats of, vulnerabilities to, and consequences of such an attack. In general, these assets are systems that include aviation, including airlines, and airports, general aviation, public transportation systems, and related public services that service major metropolitan areas, air cargo systems, strategic and commercially important seaports and waterways, and highways, tracks, tunnels, bridges, rolling stock, and transmission pipelines that sustain vital corridors and supply chains. Now, transportation remains a primary target for terrorists. Aviation specifically is a preferred target for terrorists seeking to conduct spectacular mass casualty attacks that cause economic damage and garner widespread media attention. Surface transportation systems, now these include mass transit passenger, rail, freight, pipeline, and highway motor carriers, will also remain a target of interest to domestic terror actors. A terrorist attack involving transportation, assets, and systems could have a considerable long-term consequence on travel and commerce, as well as response efforts. The recovery of transportation services following an attack is dependent on the resilience of the system and the integrity of the infrastructure. Now, cascading impacts of an attack disrupting transportation could also affect regionally and local communities that depend on transportation assets such as key bridges, tunnels, work, school, or everyday needs. Reliance on the global supply chain introduces multiple risks to federal information systems. Supply chain threats are present during the various phases of an information systems development cycle and could create an unacceptable risk to federal, state, and local agencies. These threats can have a major range of impacts, including allowing adversaries to take control of systems or decreasing the availability of materials needed to develop systems. These threats can be introduced by exploiting vulnerabilities that could exist amongst multiple key points inside the supply chain. Examples of such vulnerabilities include the acquisition of products or parts from unauthorized distributors, inadequate testing of software updates and patches, and incomplete information on IT supplies. Malicious actors could exploit these vulnerabilities, leading to the loss of the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of federal systems and the information they contain. Now, your Module 6 assignment is to post a substantive discussion synthesizing the vulnerabilities of the nation's transportation and supply chains. Also, please be sure to include a substantive reply to a fellow student. Do not simply agree or disagree, provide a compelling argument. As always, if you have any questions or you need my help, please let me know.